Hey, welcome back to my channel Beyond the Body. Aristotle once said, "To live alone one must be either a beast or a god." But Nietzsche added something even more interesting. Maybe we need to be both. Did you know that according to a 2010 study published in the journal PLOS Medicine, the health risks of chronic loneliness are equal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day? That's quite shocking. While we often hear that connecting with others can help, what's rarely talked about is how important it is to learn how to be alone and actually enjoy it. Being alone doesn't always mean feeling lonely. Take Henry David Thoreau, who spent a long time alone at Walden Pond. He once said, "I am never lonely here. I never found a companion so companionable as solitude." In this video, we're going to dive into the power of solitude, how it's different from loneliness, and how it can help you grow as a person. Solitude can give you the freedom to think clearly, improve your mental health, and build a strong, independent character. As Nietzsche said, loneliness is one thing, solitude another. You've learned that now. The philosopher Philip Koch describes solitude as an experience where other people are simply not present in your thoughts, emotions, or actions. And that's all it takes. Their absence creates space for self-discovery. Many great thinkers in history used solitude to reach new heights. Jesus spent 40 days and nights in the desert, facing his deepest struggles. Lao Tzu, Buddha, and Moses also found their greatest insights in solitude. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Nietzsche, Emerson, Camus, and Thoreau all turned to solitude to protect their minds from the noise of society and focus on what truly matters. Nietzsche once said that being around too many people made him feel like he was losing himself. He needed the desert to feel like himself again. Admiral Richard Byrd, who spent 6 months alone in Antarctica, went through brutal cold and endless darkness. But instead of feeling broken, he found it life-changing. In his book Alone, he wrote, "Solitude is greater than I anticipated. My sense of values is changing." So why do some people grow stronger in solitude while others feel crushed by loneliness? The answer may be simple. Those who suffer don't yet understand the value of being alone or how to use it for their benefit. And at the heart of solitude lies one of its greatest gifts, the freedom to discover who you truly are. Have you ever experienced a moment of solitude that changed how you see the world or yourself? Let me know in the comments. Who we are and who we're meant to become often reveals itself in solitude. As the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. If he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom." He believed that society always brings some level of constraint, and the more unique a person is, the harder it is for them to accept the compromises that come with being around others. To truly understand the freedom that solitude offers, we need to look at how much our social lives can limit us. Of course, relationships with friends, family, and romantic partners add meaning to life. But as philosopher Philip Koch pointed out, they also bring structures of demands. The constant need to listen, care, and respond to others in ways that match their expectations. Their moods can lift us up or pull us down, meaning our emotional state often depends on them. R.D. Laing put it plainly when he said, "If they're not having fun, I can't have fun. Getting them to have fun is hard work." Even strangers can affect our experience. Jean-Paul Sartre described how, when you're alone in a park enjoying nature, everything feels peaceful until someone else shows up. Suddenly, you become aware that you're being watched, judged, or simply noticed. You stop feeling like you're in your own private world. Sartre captured this feeling when he famously said, "Hell is other people." Psychologist William James said something similar, that when a hiker sees another person on the trail, they feel less free and more self-conscious. All of this vanishes in solitude. Alone, we are free, truly free, to think, feel, and do as we please. There's no one around to judge us, influence our emotions, or expect anything from us. As Philip Koch said, free. It feels strange at first, no one bounding you on any side. The English philosopher William Hazlitt loved taking long walks alone. For him, the joy of those walks wasn't just the scenery, It was the liberty to follow his own thoughts and feelings, without needing to explain himself or fit in. As he once wrote, "The soul of a solitary journey is liberty, perfect liberty." Have you ever taken time to be truly alone, not lonely, but free, and felt more like yourself because of it? Share your experience in the comments. Sometimes we just want to do things our own way, without compromise, without interruption. As William Hazlitt once said, "For once, I like to have it all my own way, and this is impossible unless you are alone." Solitude gives us that rare freedom. Philip Koch pointed out how Thoreau once said he walked in nature with a strange liberty. Why did he feel so free? Because being alone removes the social pressures that surround us every day. In solitude, you can shout, sing, laugh, or cry without judgment. You can even do it stark naked if you want. This freedom to move and express ourselves becomes a symbol of a deeper spiritual freedom, where your thoughts, feelings, and imagination are finally allowed to soar. But solitude isn't just about enjoying freedom. It's also a powerful tool for self-discovery and personal growth. When we're no longer constrained by the need to fit in, please others, or follow social rules, we begin to tune into ourselves. Koch called this attunement to self, the free flow of thoughts, feelings, and memories without censorship. Alone, we can finally listen to our own voice, the one we often silence in daily life. We take off the social mask and meet the person underneath. After going through a painful relationship, writer May Sarton spent a long time alone and began to reconnect with a part of herself that had been pushed aside. She wrote, "I begin to have intimations of a return to some deep self." Thomas Merton, the American philosopher and monk, believed that everyone, not just hermits, needs moments of silence and solitude. He warned that if we never hear our inner voice, life becomes exhausting and empty. When we lose touch with our inner world, we lose touch with who we really are. Still, solitude isn't always peaceful. Sometimes, when we finally quiet the noise of the world, painful emotions come to the surface. Things we've been running from. Memories, fears, anger, grief, all the stuff we've buried deep down begin to rise. And that's okay. Because in solitude, we're safe. We're not lashing out at anyone or hiding behind distractions. We're finally facing what needs to be healed. As Koch said, solitude lets us feel even the hardest emotions without causing harm to others. And this is where true healing begins. Albert Camus said it beautifully. When a man has learned, and not on paper, how to remain alone with his suffering, how to overcome his longing to flee, then he has little left to learn. Have you ever faced something painful during time alone and come out stronger because of it? I'd love to hear your story in the comments. The healing power of solitude isn't just poetic, it's real. The Japanese doctor Shoma Morita created a form of therapy based on Zen Buddhist principles that avoids medication or talk therapy. Instead, it places the patient in a space of complete solitude. There, the person is forced to face the very suffering they've been avoiding. As medical historian Ilse Weiss described, when patients arrived at the hospital, they were placed on full bed rest for a week. No talking, no books, no writing, no phone calls, not even music or TV. They were left alone with their illness until they fully accepted it. In that solitude, they could begin to understand and come to peace with what they were experiencing. Many cultures in the past understood this value. Among the Tarahumara Indians in Mexico, there was a kind of cult of solitude. A child as young as 6 could be sent out with food and sheep, living alone in the wilderness for a week or more without seeing a single person. These children became so used to solitude that social conversation made them uncomfortable. Even in cultures where life was more community-based, people still went into solitude during important life transitions, especially during rites of passage into adulthood. In many traditional societies, a boy would be taken into the wilderness to live alone for weeks or even months. He would build shelter, find food, protect himself from danger, and face his deepest fears. Through this solitary journey, he transformed his mind from a frightened, dependent child into a confident, self-reliant man. Only those who made it through this test were considered true adults. As Jungian psychologist James Hollis explains, This kind of ritual isolation taught a deep life lesson, that no matter how social we are, each of us walks our inner journey alone. And to thrive, we must learn to draw strength and peace from within. He wrote, "The boy learned to depend on his wits, his courage, and his weapons, or he perished." Solitary quests like this were common in almost every culture across history, except in ours. Today, our society often fears solitude. Instead of seeing it as a powerful gift, we treat it like a punishment. When we're alone, we rush to our phones, TV, or other distractions just to avoid the silence. We fear the thoughts and emotions that might come up if we sat quietly with ourselves. But maybe that's exactly why anxiety, depression, and mental distress have become so common. As the 17th century philosopher Blaise Pascal once said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." Do you think we've forgotten how to be alone, and what might change if we relearned it? Share your thoughts in the comments.